In 2009, a student from Norway, Christopher Koch, stumbled upon a document on the internet discussing a new digital currency, Bitcoin. Out of curiosity, Christopher bought 5,000 coins for $25, then forgot about them. 4 years later, Christopher saw in the news that Bitcoin had increased by thousands of percent and realized that his $25 had turned into $800,000. At the same time, thousands of kilometers away from Christopher, another man named James Howells remembered that his old hard drive contained 7,500 bitcoins that he mined a couple of years ago. After searching for this disk, he realized that he had simply discarded it at the municipal landfill during cleaning. At present, this disk continues to be located somewhere underground, and the bitcoins stored on it possess a value of several $100 million. There are tens of thousands of such stories. Yesterday's students suddenly become dollar millionaires, while others, in pursuit of easy money, lose all their savings in a week. Finally, the third group simply forget their passwords and cannot spend their wealth. But what exactly are cryptocurrencies in the first place? Is it some kind of massive financial bubble, or the future we will be living in almost tomorrow? Get yourself ready for a journey that will forever change your perception of the world of finance. New York in September 2008. People in expensive suits coming out of the building in the center of Manhattan one after another, carrying boxes. These individuals are terminated from the world's largest bank, Lehman Brothers. And nobody knows yet that these job cuts will trigger the deepest economic crisis on the planet since the Great Depression. Over 2 million people in just one state will lose their jobs. The crisis will spill over to other countries closely linked to the American economy, and pension funds worldwide will lose trillions of dollars. How did this happen? Because in the years leading up to the crisis, banks were giving out mortgage loans to everyone, packaging them into separate securities, and making billions of dollars on these speculations.
Damn, I was a bartender. Now I own a boat.
And you know what? Ultimately, these very same banks will be rescued by the government. They are excessively crucial to the economy to undergo bankruptcy.
Billions of dollars in teachers' pensions. It's everywhere you want. Too big to fail. Here it is.
But where did the money come from to save them in the midst of the crisis? Some were taken from taxes, and some were simply printed, thus devaluing people's savings. Simply observe the growth of global inflation in the year 2008 and see how it escalated. It turned out that banks first made super profits and then were saved at the expense of taxpayers. And is there any possibility of addressing this injustice when money is printed exclusively by the state, protected and utilized by the bank? Creating a currency that will not rely on financial institutions or governing bodies seems like an unattainable goal. But in the same year, 2008, an anonymous person under the name of Satoshi Nakamoto uploads a document on the internet titled Bitcoin, a system of digital peer-to-peer cash. Understanding the essence of this system is very important. Here, imagine this. One person transfers 10 coins to another, and later that person returns 5 coins to him. In total, we have 2 operations. To prevent anyone from altering this list and later claiming, for example, that they did not receive any money, this list is not stored in one single place, but simultaneously with all participants. Furthermore, when they desire to perform another transaction at a later time, the previous records will be encrypted. This block will receive a lengthy code called a hash. And in this place, fresh transactions will be recorded in a brand new block that will include the hash of the preceding block. When the transactions in this block are completed, it will also be encrypted, and thus the list of operations will end up in the blockchain. And what's so revolutionary about it, you might ask? Well, if you try to tamper with a record in one of the blocks, the whole chain will be disrupted, because the hash of each block not only reflects a set of operations, but is also linked to the hashes of other blocks. Other participants in the system will immediately notice this forgery as they store all records about the blockchain. And there can be thousands of participants as well as transactions in a block. Therefore, distorting information about the blockchain for all system participants becomes practically impossible. So blockchain is similar to an accounting ledger where all transactions are stored, but this ledger is not held by a bank, but rather by all participants of the blockchain. But wait, were we even talking about cryptocurrency, and what does blockchain have to do with it? And the fact that in order to create a new block you need to find its hash, which is not known in advance. It is only known that it is composed of 64 characters. In order to discover it, participants in the network must sift through numerous options, or in other terms, solve a computational problem. This is the essence of Bitcoin mining, and the participants of the system who search for a new block are called miners. When a miner discovers the correct hash for a new block, they distribute it to the other participants. They verify the correctness of the hash and all operations in the block, and if everything is correct, they add a new block to their version of the blockchain, and the miner receives a reward in the form of that very Bitcoin, a digital currency that is credited to his wallet. And then Satoshi Nakamoto sent out a document explaining this system via email to everyone deeply studying cryptography at that time. He was the creator of the first block in the Bitcoin blockchain on January 3, 2009. There were no transactions in this block. It solely consisted of just one single phrase: the Chancellor of the Exchequer on the brink of a second bank bailout. This phrase was the headline of the British newspaper The Times that day, indicating that the world is in a state of deep financial crisis. On January 12th, Satoshi made the first transaction. In block 170, he sent 10 bitcoins to the programmer Hal Finney. Over time, more and more people visited the Bitcoin website, learned about the new technology, and became miners. And now it's hard to imagine, but initially, Bitcoin cost less than a cent. It was used not as money, but as an unknown technology for testing the system. But gradually, this technology became more and more well known. It got to the point that in 2010, on a forum dedicated to Bitcoin, an American programmer wrote a historic message. He pledged to transfer 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone who purchases him 2 pizzas. 4 days later, a new message appeared on the forum. A coder purchased 2 pizzas from Papa John's for 10,000 Bitcoins. At that exchange rate, these pizzas cost around $40. Who knew that soon each of them would be worth over $100 million? But why did this complex and unfamiliar technology suddenly start rapidly capturing people's minds? What is Bitcoin backed by that people have chosen to buy and sell, and its value keeps increasing? To offer a response to this query, it is crucial to comprehend the actual essence and significance of money. The entire history of mankind is a history of exchange. To buy, you have to sell, and the thing most often exchanged became money. In the early days of humanity, this role was fulfilled by livestock, animal skins, and even huge boulders. But over time, people realized that commodity money was inconvenient, and they needed to find something more universal. Precious metals and coins made from them began to be utilized as a medium of exchange. But as the global economy developed faster, metals became less convenient. They are difficult to transport, their emission is hard to control, and most importantly, there simply wasn't enough of them to finance states and wars between them. By the 18th century, Europe makes a transition to paper currency, although it is still backed by gold and silver. And for the next 200 years, the global economy thrives on paper money. Pounds, dollars, francs, they all fill the vaults of the largest banks. But after World War II, 3/4 of the world's gold reserves accumulate in the United States, and the main global currency becomes the American dollar. Essentially, only it is backed by gold, while all other currencies are tied to it. In this Bretton Woods system, the world lives until 1971, when the United States unilaterally cancels this rule.
Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
Because at that time, the states had printed such a large amount of dollars that there was an insufficient quantity of gold to support those papers. What are currencies supported by after the elimination of the gold standard? Nothing but the assurance of central banks and the trust of the people. Today, the value of the dollar, like any other fiat currency, lies in people's belief that it can be used for exchange. And the more people use a specific currency, the more reliable and stable it becomes. However, this construction has several peculiarities. To begin with, fiat currency is controlled by the government, who frequently prints it, devaluing your savings. Secondly, economic transactions go through banks, but banks can lose depositors' money for 100 reasons. In other words, the primary medium of exchange in the contemporary economy is not actually in your possession. Bitcoin is exclusively yours, and you do not require a bank or any other intermediary to transfer it. All you need to know is the recipient's wallet address. And you can only lose your money if you provide scammers with the key to your wallet yourself. Finally, the creators of Bitcoin have set a rule according to which only 21 million coins will be mined. Furthermore, every 210,000 blocks, the reward for discovering the hash of a new block is reduced by half. This indicates that if in 2009 a miner received 50 bitcoins for adding a block, at present it is slightly more than 3. Despite this, the number of miners is increasing, and while in the past Bitcoin mining could be done on a home computer, today it is carried out by huge farms spanning thousands of square meters. This competition hardly affects the speed of Bitcoin mining. But thanks to this mechanism, unlike fiat money, which is printed more and more every year, Bitcoin does not depreciate, which is why it is called digital gold. So if any money is simply a medium of exchange, it is not surprising that Bitcoin, which appears to have nothing backing it except the energy expended on its mining, was gaining popularity at an escalating rate. People simply believed that the new technology would finally give them full control over their money, and the more people were drawn to Bitcoin, the more they trusted it. However, Bitcoin's transaction capacity is very small. It's only 7 transactions per second compared to Visa's 24,000 per second. Yes, such slowness is required for stable Bitcoin operation, but simultaneously hampers mass adoption. And when blockchain technology became widely understood and popular, a multitude of programmers started contemplating ways to enhance the speed of Bitcoin transactions. In 2011, an ex-Google employee developed a cryptocurrency that functions 8 times more quickly than Bitcoin, is simpler to mine, and transactions with it were merely more affordable. If Bitcoin was digital gold, then the new coin, Litecoin, has become the digital equivalent of silver. But Litecoin was not the only alternative to Bitcoin. For example, in 2012, the cryptocurrency Ripple emerged. Unlike the traditional SWIFT banking transfer system, Ripple is capable of transferring customers' money not in several days, but in a matter of seconds and practically for free. After 2012, there were more and more coins and projects, but this person caused a true revolution in the crypto world with their innovative approach. Introducing Vitalik Buterin. He pondered, what if we harness the novel technology provided by Bitcoin and address the fundamental challenge of the economy, namely, the issue of trust? For this purpose, the Ethereum project was launched in 2015, which introduced smart contracts. Here's how they work. Let's say you want to buy an apartment. To protect yourself, you go to the bank and open a letter of credit, an account where you deposit the money, and the seller will only receive it when they sign the sales contract. To prevent any deception, the bank oversees the transaction and charges a fee for it. So, an Ethereum smart contract eliminates the bank from the deal. The system checks contract conditions and, when met, transfers money between wallets. Fast, inexpensive, and dependable, all from any location on the globe. Simple concept? Brilliant. Therefore, at the stage of launching their coin called Ether, Vitalik Buterin's team raised over $18 million, and the price of Ether has increased by 10,000% since its launch. With the emergence of smart contracts, the market of decentralized finance appeared. People started creating platforms where one could anonymously exchange one cryptocurrency for another, get a cryptocurrency loan, or deposit it, without banks and other intermediaries, but simply on the blockchain. In general, what Bitcoin was invented for has actually become possible thanks to Ethereum. Thanks to Ethereum, it's easier to create your own cryptocurrencies as there's no need to develop your own blockchain anymore. Roughly speaking, Ethereum has become the programming language in the crypto world. Because creating your own coin has become much easier, everyone started doing it. Look at how after the release of Ethereum in 2017, there was a boom in ICOs, issuing their own coins. Now, any startup has the ability to attract capital without a significant amount of government control, and the crypto industry began to resemble the late 90s internet, when everyone understood that the future was behind the internet, and internet companies were growing like mushrooms after the rain. The concept of an ICO is as follows. We generate a project, develop our own coin for it, assure investors that this coin will experience a 1000% surge, and raise funds by selling our coins. Where's the trap here? Remember the series Squid Game? There, people competed in deadly contests for a large sum of money. Riding on the show's popularity, information about a crypto project appeared online, with developers promising to hold a tournament inspired by the game. And to participate in it, you had to make a contribution by buying the Squid coin, which they had issued. The coin's price gradually increased, until one moment it turned out that the coin could be bought but not sold. That's when everything ended. The project's website and social media became inaccessible, and the coin was worth less than a cent. Of course, not all ICOs are scams. For instance, Ethereum raised over $18 million in 2014 and brought its early investors tremendous returns. However, most ICOs in many cases turned out to be disappointing empty promises aimed at exploiting human greed. But if you think it's incredibly crazy to invest in a coin to take part in a Squid Game, what would you say about absolutely, truly, genuinely buying pictures on the internet for tens of thousands of dollars? On February 16, 2021, the auction house Christie's sold a painting by American artist Mike Winkelmann, known by the pseudonym Beeple, for $69 million. The painting was titled Every Days, the First 5,000 Days. Essentially, these were 5,000 pictures that the artist drew daily for almost 14 years. So what? Years. So what? After all, Christie's has sold even more expensive art pieces, such as Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi for $450 million in November 2017, or Francis Bacon's Triptych 1976 for $86 million in May 2008. But Beeple's artwork did not actually exist in a physical form. Indeed, there was only its digital version. So what exactly was sold? An NFT was sold in the market, a unique non-fungible token on the blockchain that securely verifies ownership of a particular digital asset. But let's say, if there are millions of ethers and bitcoins, and each of them has the same value, then an NFT can be compared to a piece of art. For example, Leonardo da Vinci's famous Mona Lisa is one of a kind and is kept in the Louvre. Yes, you can make perfect copies of this painting, but people will only pay to see the Mona Lisa at the Louvre's ticket counters. And so, an NFT confirms that you own the original item. Anyone can look at the blockchain and verify that it's true. It still sounds strange indeed. Maybe, but after the purchase of Beeple's artwork, a real NFT boom undoubtedly began. And these weren't purchases of incredible paintings, but memes. And the more news emerged about some pictures on the internet being worth tens of thousands of dollars, the more and more people appeared who were willing to buy them, hoping to sell them for even more and more money. The most famous project was a collection of 10,000 unique NFTs depicting extremely bored apes. It's a story purely about business. The creators of the project enlisted celebrities to promote these NFTs. Justin Bieber, Paris Hilton, Post Malone, and other famous personalities bought these apes for themselves and shared their purchases on social media. A huge bubble inflated. GIFs, mobile game characters, random images, all of these were bought and sold for tens of thousands of dollars. The frenzy was reminiscent of the 17th century tulip mania, only instead of flowers there were digital images that anyone could copy. And this bubble burst just as quickly as it grew. Trading volume dropped by 97%, and many NFTs simply became worthless. It turned out that many who advised buying NFTs were promoting their own products to sell them at the highest possible price during the hype. And even those people who bought Beeple's piece of artwork for a whopping $69 million did so in order to draw attention to their coin, which nearly became almost completely worthless after the month of March in the year of 2021. But all these ICOs and NFTs are just the tip of the iceberg. In 2010, two organizations emerged that were unlike anything before. They created platforms where users can trade cryptocurrencies. Today, over 40 such platforms exist. The emergence of crypto exchanges has greatly simplified working with cryptocurrencies. Now there is no need to often transfer money to your personal wallet. But cryptocurrency is, in essence, about independence and anonymity, while a crypto exchange is a centralizer that collects your personal data and holds your money in its accounts. Take, for example, the exchange FTX, one of the largest on the planet. It quickly attracted investors because it allowed trading of any crypto instruments and actively cooperated with all regulators. But in mid-2022, rumors leaked to the media that FTX was keeping most of its reserves in its own FTT tokens, which it also printed. And the head of the exchange, Sam Bankman-Fried, was using clients' money for personal purposes. When people began withdrawing money from the exchange very quickly, it responded by freezing their funds. In the end, both the exchange's clients and the holders of its tokens lost money. This amounts to about $10 billion. This is not the only solid crypto exchange collapse. Why does this happen? Because these exchanges take a percentage from transactions and use clients' money. And since the crypto world is a new industry, there is no strict regulation here. And when the exchange accumulates huge sums, there is a temptation to use them for personal purposes. But wait, you initially said that blockchain is indeed an absolutely incredible breakthrough technology that will change the world. Now it seems like the entire crypto industry is just a big scam. Now that you know the basics, let's move on to the most interesting part. The year 2001. The country of El Salvador is abandoning its currency in favor of the United States dollar. Why is it doing this? Officially to attract more investments and stabilize its economy. But still, most people in the country actually use dollars rather than the local colones. In fact, the country continues to live this way for the next 20 years, until the president of El Salvador announces on social media that Bitcoin will become the country's official currency. Why? The same reason, to attract investments and technology by fostering the development of the crypto industry. But there's another one. The US government controls the dollar, but who in fact controls Bitcoin? It seems like no one actually does. And according to the government of El Salvador, this move will reduce economic dependence on the United States and give the country more control over its monetary policy. But for this very reason, most countries do not in fact recognize cryptocurrency as official money. The foundation of a state's existence is control over society, which is largely achieved through power over money. Without it, the state wouldn't even be able to collect taxes. And even if we imagine that a particular cryptocurrency is not officially controlled by anyone and is issued according to a protocol, in reality, things are far from that simple. For example, approximately 67% of all bitcoins are stored in 0.5% of all wallets. And what will happen if these market whales decide to sell their coins? The whole system will collapse. Yes, significant portion of these coins is held by crypto exchanges, which store investors' money. But why should people really trust crypto exchanges in the first place, but not actually trust governments? Moreover, the diversity of cryptocurrencies and their scalability limitations prevent them from being used as a single payment method for hundreds of millions of people simultaneously. And due to their price volatility, planning long-term projects in cryptocurrency is simply impossible. Therefore, today most countries do not recognize cryptocurrencies as official money, but consider them an investment asset. This creates two separate worlds. Governments are essentially sitting on the fence. They don't actually ban cryptocurrencies because they see a future in blockchain technology, but they don't actually recognize them as money because it threatens the very existence of the state. Instead, countries are developing their own national cryptocurrencies based on blockchain, known as central bank digital currencies, such as and also. With this currency, it will be harder to steal or launder money as it's traceable step by step. And thanks to smart contracts, such money can only be transferred to the specified counterparty. For citizens, more conveniences, but more control on the other. Ultimately, the decentralization that made crypto so beloved is becoming a tool for government regulation. Does this mean that cryptocurrencies will remain a niche payment method and a risky investment? Share your opinion in the comments. But one thing is certain. We are undoubtedly witnessing a significant shift in financial history happening right before our eyes. And we won't even notice how digital money will undeniably become a part of our lives, just like the internet once did.